Hey, it's Chris. I'm an avid iPad fan, but in recent months, I've been growing addicted to the remarkable e-ink tablet. Both, it turns out, have a place in my workflow, as does my Mac. So a while back, I made a video comparing the e-ink Supernote tablet with the iPad, and that was a surprisingly popular video, almost 200,000 views, which I didn't expect. And in that video, I broke down all the reasons why somebody might want to use an e-ink tablet in the first place. So I'm not gonna go over all of that in this video. I'll link it up for you so you can check it out if you're interested. What I will say in this video is that after using this, there's no way that I could go back to using the Supernote. And at the same time, I also have a Kindle Scribe laying around here that I've been testing, and I really dislike that thing compared to this. This is so much better. Of the 3 e-ink tablets that I've tried, the remarkable here, just blows everything else out of the water. And that's no joke. So let me just cut to the chase here and tell you the reason why I love this thing is because there's no distractions. That's the whole thing here. There's no apps, no browser, no email, no messages, no notifications. The only thing competing for my attention here is my own thoughts. And that's a remarkable place to find yourself in today's world. And actually, I would say that's a place where almost nobody ends up these days, sadly. Especially now that we're in the era of AI. I have a rule for myself, and that is I will never let AI think for me. So I will use AI, I'll use it as a tool, just like a hammer, just like my iPhone is a tool. I'll use AI like a tool to refine, to research, to enhance, but I will never use it as a starting place for thinking. So what that really means in a practical sense is that I've been starting my projects on the Remarkable, and then when I'm done getting my initial thoughts down on paper, so to speak, then I'll move it over to the Mac or the iPad, and then I'll publish it and start the whole process over again. The reason that that's become so important to me is because writing, of course, is thinking. That is sometimes when we do our deepest thinking is when we're writing and we're searching for the right words, the way to say things. And when somebody starts with AI at the helm, you're outsourcing a lot of that. So what I love here is that this is where my own ideas can really shine through before other people's thoughts can collide with my thoughts or before AI ever gets its hands on my thinking. And what I've really come to like about the Remarkable here is that it has just enough digital features to be very useful, extra useful, without going too far. So it does have things like infinite pieces of digital paper. You can scroll infinitely, or you can create new pages and never run out. You've also got folders for organization and hierarchy. There's a variety of tools, including like a highlighter. So when you highlight on here, it obviously shows in e-ink, black and white, grayscale. But when you show that in the app that syncs on your Mac or your iPad, it actually shows up as a yellow highlight. But it's not too much. It's just right, not overly digitized. So on a spectrum between a piece of paper and an iPad, the Remarkable is obviously somewhere in the middle, but here's the thing, it's closer to a piece of paper than it is to an iPad. Much closer. It's so thin and light, but that's what I love. I love how close to paper it actually is. It's the ultimate focus mode because the iPad, of course, has focus modes, as does an iPhone or a Mac, but that's just too easy to bypass. The apps, the browser, games, all that stuff's just waiting a couple clicks away, right? It doesn't take too much to break through that wall, to turn that focus mode off, to get distracted, to start seeing a flood of other people's information from other minds, and for your own thoughts to get drowned out. Now, of course, that's all great, but you're probably wondering, well, how does this actually fit into my workflow? Well, this is where I start. I start on the Remarkable. So if I have a thought train that I need to follow, if I need to get some ideas out, if I have a project that I'm kind of starting to brainstorm, all of those things start on the Remarkable for me lately. I mean, for the last month and a half, this has been my workflow. And I look forward to it too. Here, I'm not looking to edit, I'm not looking to perfect, I'm just looking to do a brain dump and get things out unassisted. And then that stuff syncs over to the Mac and to the iOS app, and I can just seamlessly pick up where I left off on the Remarkable over on either of those devices. And so those apps are pretty bare bones, but they also do just what you need to, which is just to sync. So I can see my notes, I can add to the notes, I can add some text there if I want to. I can very clearly see what's been highlighted and stuff can jump out. And then from there, I'll start molding and shaping those original thoughts using other apps, the traditional app stack that I've been using. So maybe I'll stick stuff into MindNode and start doing the outline in the mind map. Or maybe I'll just open up a writing app and get to writing then. And yeah, as part of my toolbox, I am using AI for some stuff to refine my own thoughts, but not to think for me. I would actually say that I've enjoyed using this so much, I would consider at some point in the future, I have a few other modules planned, but adding a bonus module to the productivity course, which just launched, by the way, and I'll link up down below if you want to check it out. If you want to know how to be more productive, get more done in less time with less burnout in the Apple ecosystem. But I would almost consider adding a whole section on e-ink tablets. And I would show this one in particular because it's my favorite, because it's made such an impact on my productivity. Weirdly enough, it seems like this is less smart of a device versus something like an iPad. Ironically, a device with more features like the iPad can end up kind of shackling you in some ways. It's weird to think about, I know. I'm not being hyperbolic here when I say this. I feel like the end product of this workflow, starting on the Remarkable and doing this consistently, it almost feels like a superpower, because everyone else out there is consuming so much that they end up regurgitating a lot of what other people are saying. And in this world, in this economy, you stand out by being different and by being unique. And if you're not producing unique thoughts, if you're just regurgitating what you're seeing and hearing elsewhere, it doesn't matter if it's written or if you're doing a video or a podcast, whatever it is, then you're not gonna win the attention war. Nobody's gonna care because there's nothing original there. So I feel like by using this, it's kind of an unfair advantage for me versus other people out there who aren't using this, because I'm better connecting to my own competitive advantage and writing more and thinking more about me and my experiences and my observations. Stuff flows in a different way when you're using the Remarkable or an e-ink tablet, but I like this one the best. And speaking of typing, I know that they have the Type Folio keyboard attachment, which you can get, and I haven't tried it yet. I want to, because sometimes handwriting stuff can be slow and typing is faster. And at first I was like, oh, what are they doing? Kind of trying to be more like the iPad. But then I realized, no, it's still all about focus. You're still disconnected from all the distractions, the apps, the notifications, the internet, in general. You can sync with the internet, but that's about it. And so I think it'd be a real asset to be able to type if you want, or to just use the stylus. So I look forward to checking that out. Let me know in the comments if you want my thoughts on that, my take on it. Now, I don't want to make it sound like this thing is perfect, because I don't think that. It has some flaws. You're gonna get some glare on the screen if the light hits it just right. I mean, as somebody who's been used to using the iPad for so long, for so many years, it took some time to adjust and to get used to. And there was an initial hump where I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna take to this. But as I saw other people doing more focused writing, I said, I'm gonna dig in and try to make it work, because I think there's something there. And that's when the floodgates opened. But are there some things about the Apple Pencil and the iPad that I missed? Yeah, I missed the double tap to switch tools on the iPad, the Apple Pencil. Even though this stylus does have an eraser on the tip, you can actually turn it over and erase stuff. That's a little bit clunky, I find. It's not a super precise eraser, but it works. The folder structure is a little bit clunkier, I would say. It's not quite as easy to move files from one folder to another versus on the iPad, with drag and drop, copy and paste, stuff like that. But for me, that stuff really is more secondary. Those aren't big problems for me. So this, for me, is not about being perfect. It is about flow. It's about phase one, getting stuff out of my head onto paper, so to speak. One of my goals this year is to create a lot more than I consume. And as part of that, I've started leaving my iPhone and my iPad in my office when I'm at home, strategically. Or when I leave, sometimes I'll strategically leave my other devices at home, bring the Remarkable and my Apple Watch, so that at least I'm connected just enough with messages and the phone, whatever, so I'm not totally out of the loop, but I can go and focus with this. And I do that on purpose. So I mentioned that AI is a tool. Well, this is a tool, and it's a strategic tool. My iPad's a tool, the Apple Watch is a tool. All of these devices serve a purpose in my toolbox. And this is just another one that I can pull out at just the right time and make use of when I need to. So the idea of this strategic disconnect, I think, should appeal to a lot of you. In my productivity course, I go through the book, some of the highlights from Cal Newport's Digital Minimalism. That book really reoriented and shifted my relationship with technology. And this is the kind of thing that I wish I had stumbled across earlier. I wish I had this in my life years ago, just because it's been such an upgrade, honestly. I do wish that there was a backlight on here sometimes, very rarely. I mean, 7% of the time I pick this up and I'm like, oh, you know, I wish that this had a backlight on it. And I'm sure there's good reasons why they chose to leave it out. And this goes towards making this feel more like paper than something like an iPad. But that is something that could be nice to at least have as an option for the next version of the Remarkable. Maybe you could order one with or without that. So yeah, I would say I didn't expect to love this thing, much less like it, but love it as much as I've ended up liking it. Complete surprise to me. I thought it was gonna be more or less like the Supernote, which I had tried before. And then this came, and then you know, the new Kindle came, the Scribe. I expected the Kindle to be the killer thing that would crush all the others, and it really wasn't. It left so much to be desired, which I'm not gonna get into in this particular video. But this is it for me. This is one of my new favorite gadgets and toys, but it's not a toy, it's a tool. I'm really using this, getting a lot for my business out of it. And no matter how great the iPad continues to get, and no matter how much I continue to rely on that as well, and my Mac, it doesn't matter because this will always be what it is, which is focused. So now that I've gotten used to it, it's hard to imagine a scenario where I'm not gonna be using it into the future. If you're new around here, I do have a productivity course called Learning to Be Productive. So the course is designed to help you get more done in less time with less burnout within the Apple ecosystem. So check it out, I'll link it up down below. We also have a newsletter if you like to discover cool apps and services and accessories for your Apple stuff. It doesn't get any easier than our newsletter. That's linked up down below too. Every Friday it comes out, has a huge high open rate. I can't believe it. It's like the best open rate I've ever seen in the newsletter space, practically. People love it. So check it out. It's all linked up down below. I'll link this up down below too, so you can check it out as well. And I'll catch you in the next video. Later.